Hi, my family. Welcome back to another Wellish short. It's literally 10 p.m. I was not going to record this tonight. I was fully going to wait until tomorrow, but I just was called to talk to you guys now because why the fuck not? A. B. I'm kind of in the midst of, okay, it's not a spiral. Let me clarify right now, it's not a spiral, but I'm in the midst of like a little murky water in regards to this specific topic. So I thought, what better time to talk about it when those feelings are fresh in my existence and hopefully it makes me feel better and then I can make you feel better. It's really, we're just helping everybody out here. You're so welcome. So my confession for this week is that I just learned what my attachment styles, that's right, you heard me correctly, plural, styles, are 2 days ago. There are things that like I fully knew about, like I know attachment styles are a thing. I like was aware that I, have these anxious tendencies, so I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm probably just anxiously attached, blah blah blah." But I didn't truly know what that meant until I was given the definition of all of the attachment styles in bullet point format and was able to be like, wait, that's actually not me at all. And whoa, that's fully me. And the biggest realization that I came to from knowing the attachment styles in general is that my goal is not to be perfect and unbothered and not ever screw up, but instead putting my focus toward becoming securely attached. Oh my God, mind blown. Make sure to check out Monday's episodes of Wellish for your structured advice, self improvement tips for imperfect people. Going over there and listening to those are what is absolutely going to help you recognize that you're good enough now, exactly as you are, while still striving to become the version of yourself that you picture inside of your head. But these episodes are where the chaos lives, okay? These episodes are the insanity, the mental illness behind the self improvement episodes in an effort to show you that just because you are growing and you know the things doesn't mean you get it right all the time. And it's really a lot of fun. Okay. Love that for us. Let me paint a picture of what I thought healing was. Like, I want to make it so clear because it's crazy how much our brains convince ourselves that we're doing right by us and that we're doing the healthy, good thing. And then when you learn something new, you can like look back in hindsight and be like, hmm, hmm. So my moment was that I felt that I needed to heal more in order to stop overthinking, in order to be completely unbothered, in order to never be a burden or a nuisance with my feelings. That I needed to completely be this happy go lucky, lighthearted, happy individual all of the time in order for anybody to like me or to be deserving of being in a relationship or being around other people. So I am learning through repeated failure that I'm not great at that. Okay. And I will beat the fuck up out of myself for it in my dating world because I think that I need to be this like completely healed 100% perfect version of myself. And if I never care too much and I can just be so solid in who I am, that will mean that I've finally crossed this threshold. And I think I have a lot of voices in my head from the internet and from the self-help books and from that painted perfect image that self-improvement shoves down our throats of what it's supposed to look like when we're healed and we can like go out into the world and put ourselves out there, you know, whatever that means. And it's just another example of how self-improvement can really cause a lot of harm because suddenly I have this idea in my head that I'm not allowed to have feelings and to be upset about things and that I should just like that I'm never allowed to be triggered even though I experienced like a lot of trauma in relationships. And so no shit that my fucking nervous system and my body has all of these systems out there to protect me. And I just end up berating myself for caving to those systems when in reality, I need to be being kinder to myself and understanding why those systems are in place and what's happening instead of pushing this narrative that I need to be perfect and get everything right and be unbothered and not care and just be this happy go lucky person in order to be healed enough to like be out in the world. But two things are at play here, okay? If you don't put yourself in scenarios that you can get triggered and you're just constantly living in solitude or living in a place that your nervous system isn't getting triggered and you feel totally safe and protected all of the time, you don't get the opportunity to heal, you know? Like, are you unhealed or are you just not putting yourself in places that you could get triggered? Are you not stepping outside of your comfort zone? Are you not trying to go after what it is that you truly want out of life out of fear of getting hurt? And so what I came to realize is that the image that I have in my head of this like perfect version of myself that's totally unbothered is not secure attachment. And it's not what will make me good enough to date. I'm good enough to date right now exactly as I am with everything that's wrong with me. That all of my like, triggers and the things that I get emotional about and the feelings that I have and the thoughts that I have, like all of those things. I'm not deserving of dating and being out in the world because I have healed and I can be by myself and I do know myself and I do like myself and I do trust myself enough. We're still working on that, but I think that I'm learning how to do those things through putting myself out there. And if I wasn't putting myself out there, then I wouldn't be. I wouldn't have the opportunity to learn because let me tell you, before I started dating again, I felt like I could walk on motherfucking water. I felt like I was totally great. I had all the self-trust. I fully could surrender. I knew everything was going to work out in my favor and things were going to happen in divine timing. And I was great. I felt so good. And I literally even made a TikTok that was like, all right, universe, I'm totally healed now. What's next? And I swear to God, within a couple weeks, I started, dating and getting into that atmosphere more. So I know for a fact that I need this next chapter, if you will, in order to heal myself even further. It's necessary to have all of the less good feelings and to be triggered by things in order to improve, in order to help myself grow into the version of myself that I know I am capable of being. But this idea in my head of being perfect and unbothered is just another form of perfectionism. It is not secure attachment. It is not that I am fully healed and now I'm ready to be out in the world and date people. So with the knowledge of my attachment styles, I now can recognize so much easier with that awareness what's my logic and what is my negative attachment coming through. And then I can start to make clearer and smarter choices while I navigate dating. And my new goal is to move towards secure attachment, not to move towards this perfect, idealized, what word am I trying to use? Idealized image, but secure attachment, understanding what that is and working towards that instead of fighting all of this like narrative that's constantly popping up in my head that comes back to a lot of shoulds and am I doing this right and am I embarrassing myself and am I taking the right cues, am I listening to my intuition, am I hearing red flags, am I doing all of the things right? Essentially, it gives me like a clear, concise direction that I can recognize what my logic is trying to convince me is the truth and what is genuine truth. I want to read you the bullet points of what secure attachment is in an effort to like be as helpful as possible, even though, this isn't an advice episode, but I have to read them to you because we're talking about it. You know what I mean? And like, I really think that focusing on developing a secure attachment over being perfect, I think it makes a really big difference, but you got to know what secure attachment is in order to focus. So let me tell you, it's a bullet point list. So I'm just going to read them off to you. So the first one is believing that people are reliable, available, and supportive. I mean, we can picture all of us trust issue girlies out here. You don't believe people are reliable, available, and supportive. You're questioning everybody constantly. You feel secure and at ease with emotional intimacy and interdependence. Big one, obviously. Can you be intimate with people? Can you share your emotions? Are you comfortable with closeness? You're comfortable with autonomy and self exploration with a base of security to return to. You believe yourself to be worthy of love and care. You expect others to be responsive and trustworthy. You openly express needs and feelings. You're resilient. You can cope with stress and regulate your emotions. You can build stable, meaningful connections with clear boundaries and mutual support. I feel like, I mean, Google it. I mean, that's what I did, like this is from the American Psychological Association. So, but like literally just like look it up and use it. Like, I mean, screenshot it, keep it on your phone. And when you start to spiral, when you start to question things, when you start to like not know your place in your friendships, in dating, in your family, whoever you're talking to, you can recognize, I would recommend looking up all of the attachment styles and identifying which one is truly you and going through the bullet points of those so that you can recognize the signs of it when it's coming up in your day to day. And you don't have to admit it out loud because sometimes it's kind of embarrassing to admit it out loud. Like you feel like, oh, she's mentally ill. She's mentally ill, folks. It's fine. But once you're aware of it, you can move away from it and you can move towards the secure attachment. Healing isn't becoming unbothered. It's becoming self-held. Like it's being able to not abandon yourself when shit goes wrong. Like when you spiral, when things start to happen. And it's about developing secure attachment within you, but it's also seeking secure attachment in other people, knowing that it's not going to be in everybody, but in the most important relationships in your life, I think it's fair to try to seek somebody that you can feel securely attached to. And really, at the end of the day, it's not what another person does because you can't control what another person does. It's you being able to be securely attached to somebody because you're not self-abandoning. So clearly I will be doing lots of research into this coming here soon. So you're probably going to hear me talk a lot about it because I'm very fascinated by it. So I'm going to start by reading the book Attached. So we will, go from there. If anybody wants to read it with me, we can book club it up. It would be super fun. We can revisit. Speaking of revisiting, I did want to tell you guys, I never had a spiraling moment that I needed to hold the 2 ice cubes like we had talked about last week. I just didn't have that. I thought about it. There were moments that I felt like, a little elevated. Do I need to go do that? But I didn't ever have I wasn't elevated enough to ever feel like I really needed that. But what I did really use the shit out of was speaking out loud. And when I talked to you guys about it last week, I said at the end of every day, I was going to name all of my emotions out loud in order to diffuse my negative internal beliefs from my true identity. And it didn't work out like that because you just can't be that rigid with that kind of stuff. It came up when I was feeling the emotions. I remembered to start saying them out loud. And I would hear myself start to try to problem solve those feelings. But instead, I just said, nope, we're naming them. You're just naming it. You're just naming it. And it really, really did help highlight how the things that I was feeling were not did not dictate what my identity is. I know who I am, and I know this is just a feeling that's going to come and go. And it's crazy how you don't even, remember the feelings because they're just so not who you are. So definitely recommend saying the things out loud. Also recommend the ice thing. I just haven't had to use it yet. So again, I will let you guys know if I do end up using it. On Monday, we're going to be talking about performative wellness and how our brains convince ourselves that we really do love ourselves and we really do trust ourselves because we understand that and we know what that means, but we actually continue to self-abandon or constantly criticizing ourselves, all the fun things that we do over here. So I love you endlessly and I hope you have an incredible weekend. It is a miracle it's Friday. Thank God we did it. We got to the end of the week. Go us. We're going to have a kick-ass weekend and we're going to start Monday on an incredible note. I'll talk to you later. Bye.